Good morning, guys. The Outdoor Dipper here. Another dip video. Gotta stop saying that. Today we're going to be dipping on some Copenhagen Wintergreen. And before we get into that, I'm starting a new segment. It's going to be what's under the lid. That's right, what's under the lid. So, what's under the lid today? You know how Copenhagen always does those cool, nifty little sayings on the back of their lids. Only 100% American grown tobacco. Pinch with pride. They have got that one right on the money. It's the only kind of stuff I'll dip is Copenhagen. I never had Grizzly, never have, never will, so that's going to be the end of the story right there. Go ahead and mud judge of the day, the Old Glory. Today's video we're going to talk about my turkey hunt. I'm going to have to make this quick. Because I want to try to do 2 videos done in one day, so we'll see how it goes. Our day started Easter Sunday, went to church, talked to my buddies, like, hey, we got plans to go turkey hunting tomorrow. And we already knew just the 21st was opening day of turkey season for us here in Michigan, and we were going to go. And he was like, okay, well, let's go scouting tonight and see where they're going to roost, and so we can make a game plan to see where they're going to be roosting at, and that way we can have a game plan set up for the following morning. Excuse me. So he texted me a little later. He's like, it's raining, we're not going to go, blah blah blah. Well, apparently later in the afternoon it stopped raining over his way, but it was never raining where I live. So he's like, well, me and my son, we're going to go scouting. His son's like 6 years old. We're going to go scouting, and we're going to see if we can't find the birds and whatnot. He then calls me about a half hour later, telling me that the birds were 100 yards in the opposite direction of where we had seen them the previous day. And the birds were already 100 yards from the property we were able to hunt. So it was like, okay, so what are we going to do now? We didn't really know. We didn't have an idea of what to do. We were just going to basically hunt that property over that way that we were able to hunt and just hope for the best. We were checking the weather, we were watching the weather, and it was like 70 to 90% chance of rain Monday morning. And we were like, well, do we really want to go in the rain, blah, blah, blah. We discussed that. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to get up. If it's raining in the morning, we're not going to go. And we'll just go from there. I set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning. Get up at 4:30 and text him and say, what's the game plan? And then he texted me back about 5 o'clock. And he's like, well, it's drizzling over here. And he just sent it's drizzling over here, don't know yet. And I'm like, okay. And then he ends up testing me, well, what do you think? I'm like, I don't care, it doesn't matter to me. I kind of wanted to go myself. Opening morning, I wanted to go for turkeys. My 3rd year going, and I really wanted to go because I hadn't gone in 2 years, and I really wanted to get back out and go turkey hunting. He's like, okay, let's go for it. So I hurry up, get out of bed, skip the shower, just get right dressed, eat breakfast, let the dogs out, throw the stuff in the car, and get gone. I left about 5:25 in the morning. My goal was to be at his house at 5:30. That's what our plan was to be at his house at 5:30 in the morning. So I did it to his house about 5:45, 5:50 in the morning. We load his van up, and we head out. On our way out, he was like, okay, well, we're not going to go to the property where the big tom is, and we're going to go to this other property we have permission to hunt, and we'll just give this area a shot because we know it's not raining here. It's only 5 minutes from my house, and I think it's raining out where the big tom is, out on that property. So I'm like, okay, that's fine with me, whatever. I don't care as long as I'm going turkey hunting, right? So we get out there, get in the woods. About 6:10, we were in the woods, and we walked in about 100 yards. We walked into the woods to the wood line, and then walked a little ways following the wood line up the property. We stopped. It was about 6:15 when he started using his locator call. We got our first gobble at 6:25 in the morning. We looked at each other and said, okay, well, they're here. We didn't know that there's birds on this property. We just were guessing that there were birds on the property because he told me that he hunted the property last year, and he said there was at least 8 birds on the property. 2 times, the 2 jakes, and the rest were hens. And he's like, okay, there's got to be birds here this year, hopefully. With as with as hard as our winter was, we really weren't sure if there were birds there, but those gobbles that we heard at 6:25 in the morning let us know that there were birds there. So we walked up about another 20-30 yards up the wood line, and we kept calling. They were responsive the entire way, and we're like, okay, we'll set up here and go from there. We didn't put the decoy out because they were way a ways in the swamp. And we knew that if they were going to come in, they were just going to come right to us without seeing the decoy, so there was really no need of putting up the decoy. Some might argue that, but whatever. So we were there for about an hour. We decided to get up. We hadn't seen the birds. They hung up in the swamp. We think that the swamp was too thick, and my buddy, he said that there was possibly a corn feeder in the swamp, and they weren't going any farther than that corn feeder. But when we got to his van, he's like, let's go try another spot. Now the property we're hunting here it's all the same land, but different people own different sections of this land. And we go to my other buddy's house. He helped me install the lift on my truck and do some other things to my truck. And we pull in the driveway, load up my gun. He wasn't going to take his because he was just going to call for me because I'd never shot a turkey before. And we walked in, jumped the property line to the next door neighbor, and we have permission to hunt his property, so we walked the property line up, get to an old outhouse that he has behind his property, and few strikes in that locator call, boom, like that, turkey's gobbling 100 yards in front of us. We were grinning at each other like you wouldn't believe. We were chuckling to ourselves. We knew that we were going to kill these birds. We knew that we had a good chance at killing these birds. So he kept calling. We were there for about 5 minutes calling, and they were responsive the entire way. We had a crow fly over, responded to the crow, and we're like, okay, we'll set up. So we jump in the property line about 5 yards. We set up 5 yards into the woods. Pretty much from where I'm sitting to the swamp, to the water there. That's how close we were to these birds, if not a little closer. So we were sitting there, I don't know, maybe 3-4 minutes, and that's why I love doing videos outdoors, because you never know what you're going to get. So 3-4 minutes we were sitting there. I grabbed the camera, put it down as you guys had seen. And 7 minutes from the point of starting to record and putting it down and adjusting the camera, I had dropped the tom. And I dropped him at 5 yards in front of me. It was nuts. And he takes the dirt nap fast. I mean, he got a face full of number 5 shot. And I'm only hunting with the Remington 870 pump. It's not a turkey gun. There's no turkey choke on it. I wasn't using turkey lows. I was using number 5 lead with a modified choke on that Remington 870. And he got a face full of number 5 at 5 yards. It didn't blow his head apart, which is nice, because I know a lot of people say that when you turkey choke and turkey shot at that range, you pretty much are going to blow their heads right off. The other tom comes in, he starts patching away at my tom that I shot, patching at his head, and my boy's like, give me the gun, give me the gun. I turn around, hand him the gun, and he's like, get down. So I get down, he shoots that bird, and that was the end of the story. We didn't know, like I said, we didn't know that there was toms on that property, but apparently there were toms because we got them both, and that was an excellent hunt. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better hunt. You know, to get a double, shooting 2 turkeys with one hunt in one sitting, on opening morning, being my first bird, I couldn't have asked for any better. It was amazing. You could just tell the excitement that I had when he pulled that trigger. I was just ecstatic. Same way when I was coming home when I recorded that video, my voice, you know, I know that was weird sounding for me, my voice like that, but I was just so stoked. Here I am. It's a week and 2 days later, and I'm just still, I can't stop thinking about it. It's on my head constantly. I keep watching that video over and over and over again, and it's like, I couldn't have asked for a better turkey hunt. We go back to his house, and we have breakfast at his house, eggs and biscuits and coffee, and it was the best breakfast in the world. And you know, we were just talking about the hunt, blah, blah, blah. I was texting everybody, all my friends, my dad, my mom, my brother, just everybody, telling them I got a turkey. And so we get done with breakfast, we go out, get the birds, clean the birds up. And then I did a call from my mom, like, you gotta work this afternoon. I'm like, okay, sweet. So clean the birds, go home, jump in the shower, get dressed, post the pictures to Facebook and whatnot, leave for work, and I take my turkey to the taxidermist to get it mounted, and I'm getting it done a special way. It's not the normal, just the fan. You'll see when I did it back in a year. It only cost me 125 bucks for the way I wanted to do it, and it's only 50 bucks more for just. They said it would be 75 bucks just for the turkey fan, and I'm like, okay, that's not a bad price. As most of you guys know, that's not really a bad price. So I'm like, I looked it up on the internet, different months. I found this one. I'm like, I found two that I love. I fell in love with. I'm like, I want one of these two. So I go in there. I'm like, here, I want these two. He's like, we can't do this one, but we can definitely do this one. He's like, I'm like, okay, how much? 125 bucks. Done. Do it. So fill out the paperwork. He's like, good. You're good to go. Thank you. See you in a year. So when I get back, you guys will see. I'll show it to you guys in a video. So that was my turkey hunt. Best turkey hunt ever in the world. Hopefully this video was entertaining you guys. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better turkey hunt, and it's just amazing. You know, couldn't have asked for a better turkey hunt, as I said thousands of times. So take it easy, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.